Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your board. P-Funk, thinking right out here in the lab. Well, I do what I do for you. Today, I'm going to finish up on the lesson I was doing. This is the third section. Just going to wrap it up. The title is, it's going to be a good one. Sorry about that. Rightism. Sorry about that. I'm ready to go. Rightism. 25 rules to live by. Storytelling. Story with a message. There's a message in the story for life. I give life lessons. You tune and receive them. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. All right. Right Thinker's mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right Thinker's way of life, and that's what it is. Through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. That's why I come here daily to do what I do, to give you the information for you to do just that. Know thyself. It's on you. Once I come here, give you the information, you got to do what you got to do for you. All right, let's go. Know thyself is the question I ask. Do you know you? If not, it's rhetorical, but if you don't have the answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you out with that. That's what I do for you. Tune in. I got you too. A person who knows not that they know not, is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believes and thinks that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know, spiritually asleep. It's okay. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock, here to do just that. Wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself. And to my yacht, be true. The title, I can give it to you, is the same concept of what's the established definitions. It's still wrapping that up. But this one's called Mysticism, Dualism, aka Egoism, Spiritual Transformation, and Enlightenment. And from there, I'm going to take you to the three stages of religion if I had the time. But my goal is to get you the definition for those few phrases right there. Okay, so let's start with the top, from the top. Mysticism. Mysticism is a spiritual discipline for what? Attaining union with the divine. How? Through the practice of deep meditation daily, or more contemplation and other spiritual disciplines, as what's that? What's that? Austerity, detachment, renunciation, etc. Meaning stay firm, focused on what it is you're doing. And in this aspect, mysticism and yoga are synonymous. In the Christian faith, they want you to reach the mystical experience. Mysticism is the high level of understanding and becoming conscious with you and God, aka anointed. What? The head get anointed with what? Oil, which is what? Knowledge. Calm down. I don't get excited. But there, we tend to miss the concepts of a lot of stuff and think we know, but that's why we do definitions. That's why I try to get an understanding of stuff that we think we may know about. Not so much. Okay, that's why I teach. Now, let's deal with dualism, aka egoism. Well, what you talking about? I thought Maya represent. Yeah, she represents duality. But if you misunderstand and misinterpret duality, and you fall for dualism and egoism, watch this. Similar to deism, okay, dualism is what? The belief, hear me, the belief that all things in nature are separate and real, and that what they exist independently from any underlying essence or support. It is the belief, again, in the pairs of opposite. I gave the lesson. Harmony is two opposites coming together as one. But in their belief, in the pairs of opposites, wherein what? Everything has a polar counterpart, they call it. I call it equal opposite. They call it polar counterpart. Okay, but what's this? For example, male, what's the opposite of male? Female. Polar opposites. No, equal opposites. If you want to make life, man can't do it by himself. Woman can't do it by herself. So you got equal opposites. Ain't no one better than the other. You get the concept. This is nature. This ain't man's point of view. But the concept of dualism is man's point of view. So let's watch how it's flawed. Or you put it in his way or whatever, how you want to look at it. Okay. But the idea is, watch this. For example, male, female. Here, there, hot, cold. Again, equal opposites. A coin. Heads, tails, same coin. Politics. Lesser two evils. Democrat, Republican. They both evil. So get my point. Call it what you want. It's still the same thing. Okay. So watch this. Now, while these elements seem real and abiding to what? To the human mind. Okay. Mystical philosophers throughout history have what? Have been claiming that this is only an outer expression of the underlying essence from which they originate. We understand that. Okay. Now, but in reality, the underlying essence of all things is what? Non-dual. We told you God was one. Everything comes from the one. And everything after that emulates from him. So, again, we know non-dual. Watch this. But now watch this. All things is non-dual once you reach a conscious level of understanding. Watch this. But all encompassing. It is the substratum of all that exists. Again, we understand that. But now modern science, modern science have what? Has been confirming that the view of matter, the latest experiments in quantum physics, shows what? That all matter is composed of, you ready? Energy. Can't be destroyed, can't be manufactured, just rearranged. Most importantly, for this study, what we're doing here, dualism is what? Is a state of mind that what? That occurs when at an immature level. Elementary kids think dually. They know the opposites. They don't know equal opposites. They know the counterpoles or what y'all call it. Yeah, that's simple, but that's just the elementary level. So watch this. So this occurs at the elementary level of mental understanding of reality. Again, young people, it is akin to what? You ready? Here we go. Egoism and egoistic tendencies that which tend to what? Make a person see him or herself, watch this, as separate and distinct from the world and from what? Other living human beings. We in the dog eat dog world. No, we're not. We like crab. No, we're not. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, but we tend to get ignorant, and we know that, but we don't even want to wake up to the reality of who we really are because we want what we want here. So hence reincarnation. The spirit that's inside you wants to go from back to what's to come, to heaven. Okay. The body wants what it wants while it's here in the physical form. If you satisfy the body, that's the egoist that we're talking about right now. Through the study, watch this, through the study and practice of what? Mystical, I call it spiritual disciplines, right thing philosophy, the spiritual teachings, dualism is now replaced with what? Non-dualism. Why? And salvation. Spiritual enlightenment, here we go, then occurs. Okay? Only after you study and practice the mystical spiritual teachings to understand that everything's on the one, that's when what? Enlightenment then occurs. So therefore, what? Salvation or resurrection is related to a non-dualistic view of existence, and bondage and death are related to what? Dualism and egoism. We know that the physical body will die, but we're not smart enough to realize the spiritual body don't. It can't. But it needs to have a conscience so it to go home. That means we have to know ourselves. And that's the ticket you punch to go to the afterlife. Conceptually, I'm just saying that's my viewpoint. That's what I think. That's what I live for. Okay. If I'm wrong, well, I know you. Anybody can no, but you got your choice to follow what you follow. All you Christian lovers, I got a problem with that. But what happened when you get there and you find out that you was wrong? Don't want to scare you. Just want to give you the concept. Don't poke the bear. Okay, poke yourself. Well, what if what you practicing and you so hell bent and believing on ain't what it is? Moving on. That's why I teach and not preach. When the universal love comes from where? That's where God resides in man. Watch this. When the universal love and what? Humility are replaced by what? You ready? Egoism and arrogance, we have a problem. Call Houston. We got a guy with 90 something indictments calling himself Honest Don, all this nonsense, sleeping with hookers. But y'all think he's good? Really? So that right there tell me society ain't really playing this game the way it's supposed to play. Why? If you think this guy is good for anything other than himself, you ain't too smart. So watch this. When that happens, when you got egoism and arrogance, his face should be right there. But that's what he's full of. Ego and arrogance. And watch this. Then what happens? Then it becomes possible to what? Hurt others. January 6th, sound familiar? And to hurt nature. He could care less about global warming. That don't mean nothing to him. Again, when we forget our common origin and destiny, which is gaining knowledge of self, to go back home, we gonna keep playing this game we call hell, earth, right here. This is hell. Okay, understand that. And if you keep doing the things you're doing, you're gonna keep redoing them over and over again. We easily what happen? Fall into the vast pit of egoism, aka ignorance, again, of ourself, true self. We are spiritual beings living experience, having human experience, but we stuck on being human. The idea is to get off that truck, get off that train. Why? That's one way to Palookasville. What? You coming back? You don't want to get on that train. Okay, get your wings. Get knowledge of self. Watch this. Now we see ourselves as a what? As an individual. Me, I. I told you, ego means you edge God out. You're on your own. So understand that if you're egoistic, you ain't rolling with God. You can't fool God when your ego is in control. He knows that. You just don't. Moving on. But watch this. We see ourselves as individuals in a world of what? Individuals. Fighting a battle of what? Survival for what? Watch this. For wealth in order to gain pleasures of what? The senses, the smelling, the seeing, the hearing, the touching, and the tasting. And you can't forget, the sexual relation. The body lives for that. That's all it knows. Excuse me. So don't knock it for doing what it does. You have to get control. And watch this. When you giving the pleasures of the senses, rather than watch this, you living for the pleasures of the senses, rather than seeing, watch this, ourselves as spiritual beings, aka divine beings, who are made in the same image with what? The same frailties and potential. Your choice to do right or wrong is in your hands. This degraded condition what opens the doors to a deep-rooted fears. Again, the definition of fear, false evidence appearing real. You create it for yourself. And watch this. A deep-rooted fear and sense of what? Inadequacy, which translate into what? Anger. Watch. Resentment, hatred, greed, and all other negative tendencies. That's the human personality when it is ignorant of its higher and true self. That sounds like us as humans. That's the human experience that we got to go through. And we don't control none of that. You do it to yourself. Self-inflicted problems called fetters are done by the individual. And we got too much of that going on. Way too much. Hope the eclipse might concept get everybody a little bit more conscious of what's going on within themselves. And maybe hope some change for the world. But watch this. Now the concept, again, the concept of dualism is the basis of what? The atrocities, and that's what it be. If you put the wrong person in power, there are going to be more atrocities and injustices that have been what? Committed in the history of the world. It's a cycle that's going to keep repeating itself. Under its control, human beings what? Seek to control others and nature. I just talked to one of my students about the Western civilization, the white man. Aborigines lived in harmony with nature. Native Americans lived in harmony with nature. Egyptians lived in harmony with nature. The only one who fight nature and ain't got harmonized with it is that man. Moving on. That's my understanding from my studies. I have an opinion about that. And I can substantiate it. So I'm not here just gaslight them. No, I know what I'm talking about. So moving on. Watch this. Under its control, watch this. It seeks to control human beings, seek to control others, well, according to and nature. Unless I stop, just excuse me. Now watch this. And to satisfy what? Their inner urges. How? Through violence if necessary. Why? Because they cannot control themselves and they can only express their deeper needs in the construct, and they can't control, they can't express themselves their deeper needs in a more constructive and peaceful way. When you got a person that's upset and angry, it's hard to relate to them. Okay, that's what they're saying. We got a lot of that going on. But watch this. Now, in the Indian, the Vedantic tradition, duality or WRIGHT is seen as what? As the greatest error. Watch this. In the human mind. Why? For this reason, all of the disciplines of Vedanta, she taught nothing, what we practice, right thinkers, yoga, Buddhism, Taoism, and other forms of what? Creation centered this reason. Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. You got yoga, Buddhism, the Tao, and other forms of creation centered spirituality, excuse me, and are directed where? Towards what? Developing a correct, this is important, a correct understanding of human existence. To be ignorant of who you are, you're going to have misunderstanding, misinterpretation, and you're going to have a whole bunch of stress and strife and pain. We talk about that all the time. When you become knowledgeable of self, you live different, you do different things, you get different results. Moving on. But when the underlying unity behind what? The duality is discovered. There you go. What happens? There can be what? No violence. I've reached the point where I can attest to that. Or no ill will against others. Again, I can attest to that one too, begrudgingly, but that's what happens. Okay? This is the basis of nonviolence. I ain't never preached nonviolence. I ain't nonviolent, but I'm learning to understand and acquire the concept. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Moving on. Harmony and spiritual enlightenment then arise when spontaneously it clicks. The light go on and you realize, yeah, I got it. Okay, eureka, I got it. When you had that moment of clarity, that's the awakening. That's the enlightenment. Everybody has that eventually. If you do what you're supposed to do, it will happen. And that's when it happens spontaneously. And from that point on, you have it. I hear people say, I fell off the wagon. I got weak. No, once you get enlightened, a caterpillar can't turn a butterfly and then go back to be a caterpillar. It's a one-way deal, dog. Excuse me. But that's the concept. So if you got it, you got it. If you think and believe you got it, and play out that you didn't have it, that nobody's fault but yours. Make sure you got it. Okay. Live it, become it, understand it. That's how it's done. Wrapping it up. Watch this. Now, egoism, what happened? Your lower nature now has to give way to what? Your higher nature, aka universal love and peace. Is what our spiritual beings is really about. But when in human form, we tend to forget and overlook that. I'm just trying to bring it to your attention, right, thinkers? Now I got two more to go. All right. Now let's talk about spiritual transformation. This is my favorite. This is what I want my right thinkers to understand. This is the awakening. The true spiritual awakening is, watch this. Transformation here is to be understood as what? Not merely a change in specific behavior and patterns or a change in feelings based on what? Temporary circumstances. But as a complete reorientation of what? Your psychological or your the psychology of the individual. I mean, every individual had to go through this change for themselves. And that's what it's about. Every individual has to do what they have to do. Trust me, that's what I'm giving it to you. And it's going to be used by everybody, and it'll work for all those who use it. Trust me, it ain't biased. God don't pick and choose by religion and that nonsense. Good deeds will be rewarded. Moving on. Wrap it up for you. Where we at? Now, but it's a complete now, but this reorientation will what? Will lead to what? A permanent improvement. I just told you, when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it's permanent. You ain't going back to a caterpillar. It ain't happening. You feel me? So this change is permanent in your behavior. And watch this. It's a genuine metamorphosis. You have to have that spiritual metamorphosis. And I think everybody understands the caterpillars. I use that, the perfect analogy. Why? Because if you don't get spiritually enlightened, you're going to stay a caterpillar. You are ignorant human being just going through life, inching through, waiting to die. Okay? You'll never reach a point of what? Metamorphosing within yourself that you have control over, aka know thyself. Make the change. If you don't know yourself, knowing yourself is the change. But you got to have a genuine metamorphosis of what? The innermost levels of your what? Your mind. It's all mental. Sorry. I'm done. Yeah, this is my wheelhouse. And this is the stuff that once you get a grasp of understanding of, you're good to go. I got a student that he's almost at that point where I can let go of the seat. Why? Because he's moving, he's rolling. So that's what's the beauty part about the spiritual transformation. And specifically, what? We will focus on right thinking philosophy, aka Mysticism, as a system of what? Psychological transformation. You getting to God through knowledge and conscience and putting in the work, manifesting for yourself. So you're gonna have your own experience, wherein what? Wherein you, the individual, ceases to be what? Limited individually. A limited individual. Why? You're subject to what? The fables and the follies of human nature, and attains what? The state of transcendence of these failures. When something don't work, don't do it. I go to the doctor and say, Doc, it hurt every time I do that. Doc say, don't do that. So if it ain't working for you, stop doing it. Okay, the people that you're around don't respect and understand you, stop being around them. Simple. These are things that you control. All right. That's spiritual transformation. Making a change that once I stop doing this, I ain't going back to that. I ain't doing that no more. See? So that's a permanent, genuine metamorphosis. I've changed. And if anybody who know me from back in the day see me now, they'll know, oh, you ain't the same dude. Thank you. So moving on. There you go. Mythology. Another one of my favorites. Now, most people hold that the opinion that mythology is what? A lie. No, it's a special language to instruct and inform. Watch this, to enlighten, and an illusion, a fiction or fantasy. Wrong. Mythology can be best understood how? As a language. Again, if you don't speak this language, you don't understand it. Okay. However, it's always a however, it is a unique kind of language Again, purpose of instructing, enlightening, and informing. In ordinary language is sometimes similar to another. Why? Because it is part of a family of languages. Okay, we call them myths. We call them myths. Now, for example, they say the Italian and Spanish words are similar. I don't speak neither one, so I wouldn't know. But that's what they say. Again, this similarity what makes it possible for two different persons whose native language is Spanish to understand the meaning of some Italian words and somewhat follow along in a conversation in Italian. Okay, I understand that. But even so, mythology is much more intelligible, there we go, than this. Why? Mythology is more akin to what? To music and its universality. Okay, one size fits all. Everybody got a mythology. If the key elements of this language, watch this, of mythology are well understood, that means if you get the message, you get the plot, you get the idea of what they teaching, then what? It is possible to understand and relate to any mythological or belief system to in another, and thereby what? You gain the understanding of the message that's being imparted. I can go sit in the mosque and hear the Islamic point of view and understand just what they're saying. I can go sit in the synagogue and listen to the message. They speak in English and understand. They speak in Yiddish, I'm done. But if I can hear and discern in my own understanding what they're saying, I don't argue and dispute it. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Once you learn something, understand it, it's your choice to decide that's what you want to be part of. Why not? I understand that. So that's what right thinking philosophy is. Some stuff works for different people. Truth works for everybody. I'm just giving truth. So what you do with that, that's on you. Moving on. Enlightenment. This is the goal for all right thinkers. And I'm wrapping up with this. I see the clock running. Let me take it on home, right? I'm going down the backstretch. Stay with me. Hold on. I'm almost there. Enlightenment. It's in part of my mission statement. So this is what I'm know. Enlightenment is what? Is the central topic of our study and the coveted goal, again, the coveted goal of all right thinkers and the practitioners of yoga, right thinking philosophy, and even religion. Enlightenment is the term used to describe what? The highest level of what? Spiritual awakening. In religion, you got the three stages. I'm gonna take that to your next lesson. But you have the phases you have to go through to reach a certain level. If not, you're never gonna reach that level. Just knowing the stories and going to church and not living it, you won't get nothing out of it. I know that for a fact. We all did it as kids. We all did it when think we're doing something. Then when they don't get what we thought we were gonna get out of it, oh, that don't work. No, you just didn't work it. It works if you work it. Trust me. I got nothing against the Christian faith, the belief y'all doing, following, but I know it works if what? If it followed and done the right way. That's the respect I have for it and those who follow it that way. I keep clarifying. Hope you understand that I'm not against people who are Christians because they follow the Bible. No. Moving on. Enlightenment. Where we at? It means what? Attaining such a level of spiritual knowledge or awareness that what? That one discovers the underlying unity of what? The entire universe, as well as the fact that the source of all creation, you follow me, is the same source from which the innermost self within every human what? Heart arises. Drop the pen on that one because I told you that's where God dwells in man. And if you get enlightened, that's what you'll find out. Wrapping it up. All forms, again, I just told you, of spiritual practice are directed toward the goal of assisting what? Every right thinker or individual spiritually to discover the true essence of the universe, both externally in physical creation and internally within what? The human, again, heart as the very root of what? Human consciousness. Christ became conscious of himself. So he wants you to become Christ conscious, become conscious of yourself. Thus, many terms are used. Here we go. Taking it home, bringing it in. Many terms are used to describe what I call spiritual enlightenment and the attainment of the goal of what? Spiritual knowledge, self-mastery, and the eradication of spiritual ignorance. Right thinkers, we killing our spiritual ignorance by becoming spiritually enlightened. Watch this. And some of these terms that they call or use, watch this. First one, enlightenment, one of my favorites. The next one is resurrection. The spiritual resurrection is coming from the dead level of ignorance of yourself to the living level and understanding and knowing yourself. I did a lot of raising, okay? I'm still raising from the dead. Salvation is earned by every individual. Nobody can stand in for you. You don't need a middleman to get to God. The kingdom of heaven, it's a good one. Christ consciousness for my Christian friends. Cosmic consciousness for my cosmic people, conscious people. Moksha or liberation to my Indian people. Buddha consciousness for my Buddhists. All of y'all, I got all this perspective in my right thinking philosophy, hence my spiritual gumbo. It has all this in it. So that's the purpose, and that's why I call it that. And watch this. All these names mean the same. Watch this. And you got one with the Tao, Chinese buddies. Self-realization, local people. Know thyself, my boys, right thinkers. Haru Hood, again, right thinkers. Nirvana, Indians, and ended up with Sema, Yoga, etc. And my favorite, Nihas. On that note, this is the end of that lesson, right thinkers. And important, may all you right thinkers live to be 100, me 100 minus a day. So I never know that right thinkers like you have passed away. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'll be back.